Okay, I'll get started. So my name is Brad Hubbard Nelson. I'm from Concord, Mass. And I joined up with Kat Vanderstraten and Ellen Tone from Wayland. And now we have a bit larger group of core volunteers that run MassEnergize. And we started MassEnergize because we were involved in our local energy committees, running programs like Solarize and Heat Smart and things. And which we all find community engagement is super interesting, but we wanted to figure out how to have more impact. So as I said, we're founded by volunteers. We're mostly a volunteer organization this year, and we asked the question, how can we expand our impact? So we support community leaders in a number of towns now, with tools and resources to help them work with their residents to become more sustainable, lower emissions. So what is the challenge that we face? We know that most people around here really understand that they need to take some actions or that the climate is an issue, but they don't necessarily get started. Maybe they're too busy, they don't have enough cash, they don't know exactly what to do, or they feel their actions are not significant, that it's just a drop in the bucket. So we think people need to be empowered with local support and teamwork to do that and feel that they are filling the bucket. And this is the connection, I think, the tie-in with that the cooler Petaluma program. We want people to work together and support each other in taking action. So we offer three things now, and it's developing as we go. A community web platform that I'll talk about a little bit that communities can use to support their residents to take action. It's kind of a customizable platform because one size does not fit all. We also work to network our communities, and this turns out to be a big part of it because most communities have very similar challenges. Now, you may have a climate action plan already written or not. And so a lot of the challenges are similar, but a lot of the priorities are a bit different because all communities are different. So we meet up monthly over Zoom and encourage collaboration, and some collaborative efforts have spun out of what we call our community of practice. And we're developing playbooks that community leaders can use, or anybody can use, to help learn about approaches or contribute approaches and strategies that work with them. And we have some playbooks on outreach and organizing events, and we're developing some on social media, and more to come. So I mentioned this, the community platform, and some of you may have seen this before. It's a website that you can customize and use in your community, and our emphasis is on the local. We want people to feel like it's their community bringing this to them. So we have local images, motivating messages, and customized resources. And you can customize almost every part of this platform, and it's easy to do. Users create a profile to become part of the greater team. And when they do that, when they take actions, that can be tracked, recorded. We know what people are doing and what people are interested in doing. But it's up to the community leaders that run this to adapt this for them. And the reason we emphasize the local is we think we know that people trust their neighbors more than they trust commercial firms trying to sell them something or the government trying to tell them what to do. And communities are all different, so information's got to be relevant. So we have a kind of a branding. This is from Framingham, one of our larger towns. And Energize Framingham is the name of their organization, and that is what users see. And through the platform, they can find out about actions, the actions that the community leader in Framingham have decided are important. For example, eating locally, or installing a heat pump, or driving EVs, or drying your clothes on the line, whatever it is that seems to work. Events are important because bringing people together is an important part of the equation. Testimonials are where users can share what actions they've taken or what service providers they've used or whatever they would like. Teams are a part of this as well, because even a big community seems too big, but Framingham High School has an environmental club, and those members can get together and understand, what they're doing, what's important to them, and try to achieve something as a team. And social media contacts to the rest of the web are also important, because we want people to be brought in. So if you're a community that uses this, we track the number of households that are involved, and it's nice to see that number going up, and also the number of actions that are taken. And communities can have a goal of this so that they you feel like you are moving towards a goal, like you're fundraising or something. And that goal can include a carbon goal, which can be showed in different ways here in terms of equivalent trees planted. But that carbon goal could be in terms of tons or cars on the road or something like that as well. And users can kind of see what everybody else is doing in terms of the numbers of actions completed. And this can include both actions that are reported on the platform and also that we know about through state or partner databases. Like the state knows how many EVs are in your town, and we can help you bring that in. So our community of practice is really about the fact that this is a bit challenging. And our community leaders need support. So our challenges being similar, we don't want to be reinventing the wheel. So we have a monthly meeting where we get community leaders together. And here's a picture of one of them. I think you've all been to too many Zoom meetings, but here's another one. We've been doing this by Zoom. I don't know if we'll ever get together in person to do this, but maybe we should. So our monthly community of practice is people find inspiring. We have expert speakers come on certain topics, or we share approaches for getting people to come to the platform or to come to events or to take action. And there's a lot that we can learn from each other. We don't know all the answers, but we're learning as we go. So we have about 20 communities that have the platform launched or that participate in the community of practice, and a number more that are joining us. Now, a community could be a town, that's simple, but it could be a religious organization. I've listed JCAN as a community. That's the Jewish Climate Action Network, where their congregations are teams. And that's another opportunity to set up communities, and it could be a school. And we're trying to learn, invent other approaches there. And we're working to support environmental justice in underserved communities more and more. It's important to bring in everyone to the extent that we can, and feel like everybody is a part of the equation. This is a partial list of the communities that are involved right now. And I will say that this is kind of growing pretty fast, maybe a little too fast for us. I'm going to be perfectly honest. We're working this year on developing the platform and tools to just be more engaging in the communities we work with, and adding a few communities, with the hope that in the next few years, we can really expand in a way that's serviceable or supportable for us. So I wanted to thank you, and I hope that I didn't pass over too much before other people joined. But I want to invite your questions, which you can, I think with this, how many people are in here? I see 12 on the screen, but I'm not looking.
The count at the bottom says 15 participants.
Okay. Oh, that is 15. So I think we can have people just raise hands, and both Kat and I can answer questions because we're both deeply involved in this.
Brad, can you stop sharing your screen? Then yeah,
I'm doing it.
I see everyone. So there's one question in the chat from Cecily. Working on a project to reduce single-use plastic in Cambridge. Yes.
Yeah.
Could I use the platform?
That would be an interesting. So you can certainly do that. And, you know, reducing single-use plastic has definitely a carbon impact. It might be hard to calculate that, but I'm sort of thinking about the same thing, because this is such a challenge. Even our recycling in Concord is taking less and less stuff. So how do you reduce it? I guess having a team.
If you think about the fact that the oil and gas industry is building more and more plastic plants, and it's kind of their backup plan. And if you think about the fact that most plastic is incinerated. I mean, I also work in Arlington, and all the trash there is incinerated. So there's an emission there as well. We know only like 9% is recycled, something like that. So it's definitely involved in this whole web of, but maybe not quite as clearly as you're saying. Yeah.
It would definitely, yeah, I think there would be room on the platform for that. A platform is usually not just a single topic. It doesn't just take a single topic. It's usually a collection of reducing plastic, heat pumps. You know, when you visit our communities, you'll see a lot of actions. And this could be one action. It could be a team. It could be a set of actions. The platform is definitely that customizable that you can tailor it to your needs. We are talking to people from Cambridge who have expressed interest in the platform. Maybe Cecily, if you share your email, I will write to them. I'll add you to that conversation, and we can have a
Great.
conversation.
So in other words, really the way to participate is through a town that has joined the platform. I mean, a community, a geographic community that has joined the platform. And if the community that you work in isn't currently on the platform, then it isn't, and this isn't a criticism, it's just a clarification, then it isn't really ready yet for us to use in organizing efforts. Is that correct?
Go ahead, Brad.
I think so. Now, but we need to think about that, because I love your question, and I'm thinking that part of the problem is people don't know the solutions to reduce their plastics. There are solutions, but it's like, what stores do you go to? Or can we pressure other stores to take our returnables? Or so that's why I'm thinking maybe a team approach, because everybody's interested in this issue.
Right, it could be statewide, because really we need expertise contributed. Right, I mean, yes, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things that we've been thinking about is to have a community that uses the platform for the whole state, so that those towns, those people who live in towns or neighborhoods, or who are part of congregations, or who are part of schools, all of them use our platform, that are not on the platform individually for themselves, that they too can tap into a platform that's then broader. And this would be one of the big actions that could be featured there.
Melissa has a question.
Yeah, I see that you can go to different communities' web pages and look to see what they're doing. Is there a way to kind of combine all the efforts into like one resource? Like, you know, these are all the single-use plastic bylaws. These are all the styrofoam bylaws. These are all the clean heat bylaws. Like, can we have some sort of thing on the website that you can just go to one page? It has all of these resources that show you what all the towns have been doing as far as passing, you know, bylaws and different efforts, instead of going to each community page and kind of having to go through, you know, individually.
Not currently, but this meeting is generating a couple of ideas that we are going to be thinking a lot about, because you're right. We want to keep it local so that that residents of your town go and they feel like this is what my neighbors are doing. But to also have that comparison and that summary, I think we need to be talking about that. Which town are you from?
I'm in Wakefield.
Great.
We have a few more in the chat. What are playbooks? That's an easy one to answer. They're just like an instruction manual to anything. Run a campaign, run a social media campaign, put together a heat pump event, create an Earth Day event, etc. So we have several playbooks ready and in the making. And usually these playbooks are crowdsourced by our communities. Another one is, there's more about single-use plastic. Can the website map the participants' locations in a town? I'm gonna defer this one to Brad, who's the data person.
Well, so this is, it can't, what we do right now when someone signs up, we want to make the barrier to sign up as low as possible. And we just ask for your zip code. Now, we've talked about this. We talked about it a lot at first. You know, it'd be nice to know what streets people are on. And maybe we have to talk about it again. The more you ask, the less people want to join, is what we've found.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always a matter of how much data does one collect of compromise, right? So.
And so if you're a community group, you are who runs the platform in your community, and you have the data on what residents of the town have joined the community and what they've done and what they're thinking of doing. And we have a privacy policy that you're not allowed to commercially pitch them or share that with commercial firms or entities. But you can use that to help people follow up and to know what people want and work with them.
Yeah. Next one is, do you know the demographics of those using these platforms? We have difficulty attracting young families. The website by itself is just a website. I mean, we are working on how the website can automatically send nudges to people we already have on email lists or people who are already users of the platform. The platform does not replace outreach in that sense. That's where the playbooks come in handy. They can help you with outreach. Community of practice is handy because there you learn a lot about how other communities are doing outreach. But to set the expectations right about the platform, it is not in that sense a social media platform. And it's correct that Facebook, we are working on a social media playbook right now, and we're looking right at those challenges that Facebook is usually people above 40 or higher, and Instagram would be better. So this is something that MassEnergize does too. We're trying to figure out those challenges together, but the platform itself does not. There's an integration. You can share something on Facebook. You can share something on Instagram, and I believe next door as well. But someone still needs to be on the platform in order to push that out. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah.
How do you get to the playbooks on the website?
The playbooks are at the moment only available to those communities that have signed up with us.
Okay.
We're also friends of. It's sort of nebulous. We are working really hard, actually, as we speak, on creating a better way of sharing those playbooks with anyone. It's not something that we just want to keep to ourselves. And those will probably in the next couple of months be on our MassEnergize.org site. Yeah, we are open source in that sense. We want to share everything, but we've had trouble finding a software program that allows us to share those in a nice way. So,
Cecily asked a question about could there be a playbook on single-use plastics, and I would say definitely.
oh yeah,
And this is something that you could help us spearhead. Maybe we could get an intern to help to put something like that together. What do you think? Just
Yeah.
Let's continue that conversation.
yes.
I see that Tom has a question.
Yeah, I want to get a feel for how much effort, I guess, is involved in maintaining the community, one of these community website, or what, I'm sure what to call it, but and like how easy is it for like just members of the community to add things or interact with the website to do it? So it's not, I mean, so it's not like all on one sort of technical person to do it. It's more of a community thing. I don't know how to answer the question other than that. So,
Like a crowdsourcing idea.
well, I just want to understand, I guess, how it works sort of in that way.
So for the moment, the website, all the content goes through a couple of admins. That can be one admin, like it is in Wayland, which is, I'm the admin for Wayland. It could be a set of admins who just agree with one another how they're going to run this. We have a town that has 7 admins, so you can delegate and spread the work as much as you want of creating the content. There is, for each user who is not an admin, the capacity to add one's own content, as it were. Is any user can create a team. You don't have to be an admin for that, although admins do need to approve teams. Any user can leave a testimonial. Again, it needs to be approved. We like all our content to go through admins just for approval because of the usual reasons online. And of course, any user can also say, I've done this, and that's how they're then counted. So they share and they interact in that sense. That's it. The admins are very approachable. This is sort of what our admins promise when they open a community site like this, is that people sending them messages, they will answer those messages. And I have to say, in Wayland, for instance, every 2 weeks or so, I get someone in Wayland telling me like, hey, you don't have this action or that action, can you put it on? Or I use this vendor and we really like them. And then I usually, I act on that, and it pops up on the site, that same week. So in that sense, it's crowdsourced.
I would mention that, and I haven't had a chance to show Kat this yet. We do have software in development. I work with the software team for suggesting a service provider or an event, posting an event that you'd like to hold that want to be listed on the platform, or suggesting an action. These would be features that the community admins would have to say, yeah, we want that feature. And you'd have to, look at it and approve it. But there's to fully answer how much effort it is to run the platform really depends on commitment, because the more effort you put in, if you have a sustainability committee that wants to run events and that has the platform, that takes some effort. But that's how you get, I think you get some more success. So there's a variety of answers there.
Bob also had a question. And I just want to point out that we are almost at the end, but Brad and I will remain here. But if you need to run off and spend the rest of your Saturday outside, then free to go.
I just have a question as to whether, can we sort of sign up? Is there a way to participate in the website in order to understand it better, even though we're not living in one of the affiliated towns? I mean, just
There
to
totally
kind of,
is. Yes, and I will share that link here. It's the demo site, and everyone is welcome to mess around with the demo site and say that you've done things, even, and you will not be messing with other communities' data. So I'll put that right there.
But I will also add, if you joined a nearby town's community, and you say you've done things, you don't mess with their data, because the way we count data is by people who have their residence in a zip code, in a certain zip code.
a zip code. Uh-huh.
Right.
So you could sort of, you could look for the closest community, join that, and kind of participate without undermining the effort.
Totally. And you can join a team there and be part of that.
Okay,
totally.
great. Thank you. This is so amazing. Thank you so much for what you're doing. It's awesome.
It's fun. So I'm glad you're here. And anybody who wants to leave an email address in the chat, we can send a follow-up and maintain communication that way.
Bob has a question too.
Just putting my email in the chat, but in case I get cut off, I'm interested in engagement. Have you measured what your engagement is within the groups that are using it, say Green Newton, for instance, as a percentage of Green Newton members, and then a percentage of Newton residents, since Green Newton is within Newton, but addresses only a small part of the community.
Mm-hmm.
And just so you know, Brad, maybe we can talk about this later through email, but a group of us in Newton are about to launch a survey to try to reach people beyond the choir and figure out what their barriers are to becoming part of the choir.
Yeah.
So probably an offline discussion of that would be a good idea. We're going to try using the nextdoor.com website, which could be like starting a fire, but we're not sure.
And that's a kind of a thing that would be a good topic for one of our community of practice meetings when you do that. We've had for example, a presentation on the Newton Energy Coach, which is a fantastic service that.
I'm the solar coach.
You're the solar coach. That's maybe why I've seen your name. And things like that are great opportunities to share and trying to facilitate, spreading the wealth.
But you have to get people to start using it somehow. That's what we're wondering about.
Yeah, that still requires good old-fashioned community organizing, which we can get a lot more efficient at if we do it together, for sure.
Now, who else
They're
has
calling us back to the main room. That was very short, but I saved the chat and all of your emails, and we'll be in touch.
Well, we can stay as long as I want to encourage everybody else to.
Oh, they're not going to close the rooms on us?
They're not going to close the rooms.
Okay, great. If you have more questions.
Yeah.
The chat keeps bumping up around on me.
Right.
Ellen?
Okay.
I think I'm all set. We can have a discussion offline,
Yeah, sure.
unless you want me to tell you more about this survey we're doing now.
Well, sure. That would be fine.
So you
Yes.
might know John Sloat,
Mhm.
who's married to Karen Sloat, who's pretty active in Newton. John worked for Fidelity before he retired recently in engagement, client engagement. So he's got a lot of skill with surveys, how to ask them and how to construct them. And we're thinking of using the nextdoor.com website, which is a site on which that's a commercial social media platform that we suspect might have a lot more trollers than the average community does, but we still think it's a good way to reach a lot of people who might have heard of Green Newton or know that there's a Citizens Commission on Energy, but don't really have time. They've got 3 kids running around behind them and don't have any time to
Exactly.
think about it. But if they're scrolling through the Nextdoor website, finding out about lost dogs and things that are being sold for free and this and that, and they stumble across a pretty brief interview, maybe they'll do it. And we hope to get a lot of responses in that, and then we hope to offer people through that the chance to join listening sessions where we could get a few people together in a room in person, and COVID permitting, and ask them about what they would like to see happen, how they feel about climate change. And we're using the Yale assessment tool to sort of characterize each of the participants in this.
Oh.
I don't know if you've seen it, but Yale has this scale that goes from alarmed, which is me, to disengaged or something. I forget the word they use for it exactly, but it's just a 4-step scale that really tells you a lot about the community you're dealing with.
Right.
So that will be available. Those results will be available to anyone who asks, whether you take the survey or not.
I'm interested in integrating our stuff more with Nextdoor, because that seems to be the platform that people come and go with Facebook and stuff, but Nextdoor is really kind of a good forum. Does anybody know a good painter or a good heat pump?
It has some advantages. Recently, there was a guy named Jeff Wheelhouse who's been a very active lead. Nextdoor has the system of reviewers and leads. I'm a reviewer, so when somebody flags a post, then reviewers in the neighborhood or surrounding neighborhoods are asked to vote on whether it should be removed or may be removed or kept. Jeff was a lead and is still a member of nextdoor.com, although he's very critical of it in terms of them using the same strategy that Facebook would use to maximize engagement, no matter what damage that might do to the community. But the advantage of Nextdoor is that it's a small enough community, especially if you know that you can post only to your neighborhood. Neighborhoods are things that they arbitrarily define that don't necessarily exactly follow city boundaries or zip code boundaries or Newton Village boundaries or any other. They just found major roads and created groups. So you might run into somebody that you're conversing with heatedly on Nextdoor tomorrow because you're in a store and they own it and you're buying something from them, and they might recognize you. So it has that potential to prevent people from being anonymously rude to someone who they're certain they'll never encounter.
Okay.
So
is there a tendency to route certain types of posts to certain types of people? That's kind of the
Good question. Normally,
issue.
the strategy is just by proximity
Yeah.
in the neighborhood. But you do see, like, if there's a guy named Larry Epstein who 3 times now has started discussions about Newton's efforts to have the home rule petition on new gas hookups. And he's opposed to it, just more or less on a personal liberty basis. And so he has a few, I'll call them followers, but there are other very conservative people who think nothing government does is any of anybody's business, and government shouldn't ask people to do anything they don't want to do, et cetera. Rather than seeing government as, how did I put it in my vote forward letters, government is how we solve together problems we can't solve alone. So, there'll be some really negative responses. And the thing is, in the survey, we want to get those people who have those negative responses. And hopefully when they see a post that says, climate change survey for Newton residents, they'll say, I'm going to get on that and say that there is no climate change. So if we can get them to complete a survey and get them in a room and find out why they think that, that will tell us more, we hope.
We're running the same thing on here in Wayland. We're running just a Google Forms survey, and we're getting it out through Nextdoor, through Facebook, any channels that we know of. We're pushing out that.
That's interesting. So we're parallel efforts here.
Yes, with exactly the same idea in mind, like segmentation. We know we need to tailor our messages to segments, and some of them are alarmed and some of them are not alarmed at all. And first of all, we need to know who is who, which is a really tough thing to do, especially when the survey is anonymous and you have the option of leaving your name. But interestingly, though, those who are the most violently opposed and there's a part on the survey where they can put in text, where they put in their opposition. They're the ones who are leaving their names. So it's very interesting that is not happening anonymously. So far, that's what we've been seeing. But at least we'll have some idea of where Wayland is, and we have a good idea, but we want to confirm it. But you're welcome to take the Wayland survey as long as in the end you don't press submit. that would be great. But you could go through the whole survey and then just not submit, and it would be fine. And I'm pretty curious about. We thought long and hard about the survey, and we had someone like John equivalent help us put the survey together to avoid biases, etc. So I'm pretty curious. We should compare our surveys.
Maybe we should exchange the non-Google format of what's in the survey.
Yes.
So Kat, if you'll just email me so I have your email address, I'll talk to John. The other guy who's helping with this is Philip Vergracht, who you may have heard of before.
We know John. John has actually helped us with MassEnergize. Okay. At some point in time, he helped us with this platform.
He knows websites, yeah.
But I don't know.
You'd know Philip by his thick Dutch accent.
Oh, well, I'm from Belgium, so Dutch is my...
And he's married to Helena Brown, who you may have heard of.
Oh, we know. I've heard of her. So this doesn't apply so much to Newton, but I have found that when a climate denier, such as you described, shows up in town meeting and argues against some piece of legislation that we're considering, it tends to swing people to support the spending money or fixing the problem or banning bottles or whatnot.
In Concord.
In Concord.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe in something.
Yes.
So you're saying that more supporters tend to show up than opponents?
Well, if a lot of people, that's true. But a lot of people are concerned, but they don't know if this is worth spending a bunch of money on or limiting people's freedom or not. But when they realize there are people around who just don't think this, deny that that's a problem, it gets them concerned.
It's like a polarizing
Oh yeah, it's
thing. Yeah. In the Wayland survey, we actually asked the question, this was the very last question that was added, and we agonized over it, is how much in tax dollars would you be prepared every month to, or every year to pay for these services that you asked for above, And the results so far have been, most people clicked on the highest amount, which is something like $500 or something like that a year. So, and that surprised us all. And
Yeah.
everyone has answered that question too. That was also important. So we'll learn a lot from these surveys.
Yeah. I'm going to ask John and Philip if it's okay to share our form with you. And Brad, please email me your address too.
Sure.
And let you know how that works out.
Yeah, this is actually, so for MassEnergize, this is something that we would write a playbook on. This a survey playbook that would be a really good idea to share with others, because I've seen some surveys from towns that are just like, oh, well, the very first question already biases folks.
Yeah.
So, and that's true. Not every grassroots group or organization has someone who knows about biases and statistics and all of that. So we should just share this knowledge with everyone else.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, it's good to, I'm glad I ran across you guys.
Would it be okay, Bob and Tom too, if we added you to our MassEnergize, Friends of MassEnergize email list, then you would get an invitation to our community of practice meeting, which is
Sure.
Great.
We haven't heard from Kurt, who is here from Waltham. I don't know if you are.
Hello, I've just been taking copious notes to take back to the rest of the weekend leadership. So, although I've posted some things in the chat about our experiences with the single-use plastic bag ban in Waltham.
Okay, great. Oh yeah.
Yeah, don't you have a ballot question coming up in Waltham about bottles? Sorry, it wasn't.
I don't know. I don't think I have heard about that, but then my ear hasn't been especially close to the ground the last month or two. So
I know there's something big happening in Waltham. I read it this morning somewhere. Here's Mary.
How do we have people joining our room at this point?
Well,
the other rooms had finished and you were still going, so we thought some secret sauce is happening here.
Oh no, we should go back to the main room.
The main room is done. It has. Mary, has it have the?
Charlie wrapped up, and then he suggested if you wanted to join another room that was continuing, there may have been another one as well that was still meeting, that we go join you. So here I am.
Yes.
Okay.
I think.
All right. I think we're done.
Yeah, I think we're done. It's great to have everybody here, and thanks for the chance to talk about it. And hope to keep in touch.
Yes.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Save the chat now.
Yeah,
Good to be
thank you
here.
very much.
Okay.
Take care.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
cheers.